Good morning. So, a lot of people say, what are the international fire chiefs doing here? Well, part of what the I-chiefs do is we look at leadership in the fire service, and we don't look at one particular fire department and their issue. We look at trends. We look at the national picture and the international picture. Mutual aid is one of those things that is a national issue. We just heard from the chief of Ventura about the issues with ordering resources in that event to the first 24 to 48 hours. So one of the things that the International Fire Chiefs has been doing is looking at how do we improve that? What are the capabilities that are out there that we need to identify and then start working through? 2 years ago, we took an initiative to say we want to start driving GIS into every level and every component of the fire service in the United States. Everybody should be understanding how GIS works, how they can use it to do their job better, and then we, as a fire service, should understand what GIS can do for us. You know, lead, educate, and serve is our motto. How many IFC members do we have in the room? Okay, if you're a chief officer or if you're a company officer, you should be a member, because by you being here at this summit, you're a leader, and that's what we are. We want to gather the leaders, put them together so we can move forward in this industry. Right now, WebGIS, the technology that's out there, will allow us to do a lot of different stuff. What we're lacking is leadership, governance, and SOP development. And that's where the IASC has stepped in and says, we're going to help develop this. We're going to take the lead. We're going to be the lead node out there. And we're going to start showing people that, hey, there needs to be governance in place. We can together develop SOPs that we all agree upon, and then the technology will fall into place. But you first got to have some framework about what you want to do and how you want it to work, and then let the technical people go back in the back room and fix it. So this is the way we've traditionally managed incidents out in the field, right? Everybody here? The hood of the car, the original Palm Pilot, right? I've been in the service 40 years. But today, this is the way we want to start managing incidents. And it's all about data, and it's all about GIS, and it's all about where am I and what else is around me. So we have to start understanding the use of GIS and the way we do it. We do it for situational awareness and an incident intelligence. It's the new terms that are out there. We want to have constant feed of new data all the time to help us make better decisions, okay? When you stop hearing on the radio, what happens if you're an incident commander? When you stop hearing the chatter and people stop giving reports, what's wrong? Something's going bad, right? They just ain't telling you about it. So understanding there's other ways for us to get information and data. It doesn't always have to be via radio. During Hurricane Harvey, the state of Florida was asked to send 20 swiftwater rescue teams to Texas. And one of our SMEs, TJ Lyons out of Orange County, called and said, listen, I know you're working on the mutual aid stuff and you're talking about using this Esri products. We want to deploy that going to Harvey. So in the middle of the night, I called Mike, called Petter, called Kevin, and overnight literally stood up an application for Florida to collect data while they were in Texas doing rescues. Basically, we stood up a dashboard and a simple 1-2-3 app that we trained them while they were going to Texas, driving down I-10, how to use it, okay, what to do with it, and literally turned them loose for about 5 or 7 days to go out. And every time they come in contact with the rescue, with a victim, or they saw some kind of a hazardous situation, they weren't doing damage assessments. What they were identifying was hazardous situations that were hazardous to us, the firefighters and first responders out there. And literally, it was a simple dashboard saying how many contacts had they made, by what method were they made, who made them, and it was really cool because Florida was on the ground for about a day, and all of a sudden we get a call from North Carolina, which is where I'm from, and they had 6 Black Hawk teams down there. North Carolina operates the Black Hawk helicopters during disasters, and they put Charlotte firefighters on them, and then they go. Well, they called me and says, hey, man, what is this app thing that y'all were doing down there? I said, oh, yeah. So literally, we didn't put 6 Black Hawks using it. Tennessee called and said, hey, man, we see these guys over here in the corner using these tools. We want to use them tools. So all of a sudden, now we had Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee using our tools. And basically what happened was they were just collecting data and collecting pictures. Now, as an incident commander sitting at a command post or in an EOC, a lot of times you have to use your imagination about what's going on out there, don't you? You know, they're calling and saying, yeah, well, the water's here and it's there, and you're trying to imagine that whole thing. Well, don't pictures help you with your imagination to paint that picture about what's going on out there? Yes, it does. Traditionally, this is the way we do briefings. There's Pretty Mike right there giving a briefing. And so the people in those rooms and the people out there on that fire line, what are they doing as this guy is talking about where they're going to go, what they're going to do, what they can expect, what are conditions out there right now? They're closing their eyes and they're saying, I think I know where that's at, and he's talking about this, and I think I can remember where that is. Well, let's play a little game. If I say the word apple, what do you think? Phone, what do you think? Apple. If I say the word apple, what do you think? Okay, how about you back there? What did you say? Fruit, okay? So we have a bunch of different interpretations of the word apple. But if I show you a red delicious apple, and I say for the purposes of this event, when I say the word apple, this is what we're talking about. Well, that's all data is. That's all we're doing. We're showing and implementing and agreeing upon this is where the XY coordinate is. This is the data associated with that XY coordinate. And all the impacts about that event are right there. This is the way we should be doing briefings at the change of ops periods. Not somebody up there briefing off a piece of paper. We should be using technology so visualization takes place. Brunacini said this years ago in the 70s when he first started building his instant command system. I know it rivals FireScope, but anyway. He said that a firefighter makes 26 decisions in the first 30 seconds of arrival on an incident. He doesn't do that by reading one word. How do they do that? Visualization, sensors, smell, all the things that he can do quickly in milliseconds. The same way has to take place when we're making decisions in a command center or at a command post. We have to have that visualization. You've seen over the last couple of days dashboards. They're nothing more than data that is put into a format to present to you in a way that you can make a decision on it very quickly. And you're only seeing the data that you need to see right then. We had a really good discussion last night about this whole transition of data presentation. And, you see the data that you need to know right now, but also in 3 minutes, you may need to see a whole different set of data. And so it should present itself the same way. So back in 2006, after Katrina, the ISC during Katrina, we moved 500 fire trucks around the country to support Mississippi and Louisiana. And it was horrible. There were no good ways to do it. So we started out a process working with DHS and FEMA to do with the IMUS project, which is interstate mutual aid systems. We went to every state, helped them build their mutual aid plans. We also built what was called Mutual Aid Net, which was a flat file system. States could go in and list all their resources for moving fire assets around the state. And it was good. But 3 years ago, we realized that there was a lot of limitations to it. It wasn't very geocentric. We needed to change it. What we wanted to do was geo-enable mutual aid. We wanted to change the face of mutual aid. The way we do that is get real-time allocation of resources, who is really available and who is not available. So we launched a national mutual aid system back in October. To do that, we had to find some partners, okay? First, we looked for the right partners. Who were the people that were going to bring the biggest bang to the buck of what we were trying to do? We looked for proven track records in doing crisis management, okay? We wanted to know who has experience working with state, local, and federal, because mutual aid is not a state thing, it's not a local thing, it's not a federal thing. It's all of those, and even international in some cases. We also wanted the ability to look into the future, to not fix the problem that we have today, but let's fix the problem we're going to have in 5 years. And then also a willingness to partner in the vision, to walk with us down this path when people are saying, that'll never work. You're not going to get that off the ground. Trust us, we are. Believe in what we're saying and go with us. So we came up with WebEOC and Esri. WebEOC, the #1 crisis management software in the country, and Esri, the #1 geospatial data manager in the country. These two partners came together with the IFC to build the National Mutual Aid System. Our tagline, request, locate, deploy. Very simple, very easy, very fast to do it. We'll talk about that. It's a cloud-based solution. You don't have to have a special computer, no special software. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from a tablet. You can do it from a command post. It requires a regular industry standard browser, provides geo-enabled view of resources that are available, allows resource owners to take their resources in and out of service as they want to. You own a resource and you want to take it in and out of service 10 times a day, you can do it. You want to hook your CAD to it and do a real-time CAD feed to show that availability, you can do it. Resources are categorized using NIMS typing, but also we understand that a lot of states have what's called Tier 2 resources that we need to allow them to put those resources in. It's built mostly on COTS technology. We don't want to have a bunch of special stuff put together that, when something breaks, it takes a team of 5, 2 weeks to fix it. My analogy to the team, and I'm not a technological person, but my analogy to the team was, when I turn screw 1, I want screw 37 to turn as well, okay? It uses existing data sharing capabilities between WebEOC and Ezra. Right now, there is a bi-directional tool that they've built and launched 2 years ago. They're already doing the data exchange between those two companies now today. It's built to support mutual aid, from the planning phase through the demobilization phase. We'll talk about that. It's not built in WebEOC, it's built using WebEOC technology, and we get advantages out of that so that you don't have to be a WebEOC user to use this system. And then also one of the things we're looking at from Esri is if you have AGOL accounts, you can bring those with you in that resource, and that brings some advantage later on down the road. Some of the lessons we learned in 2017 as we were doing beta testing for this and trying to put this together is you can train people how to use these technologies on the fly while they're driving 80 miles an hour down I-10. Using COTS technology speeds up your implementation process because things are already there and proven. When you build stuff that's one-off, guess what? You're one-off. It creates problems for everybody else to come to your standard. Currently, there is no system that goes from boom all the way through a national event. We're creating that possibility. And then web maps provide real-time data to decision makers when and where they need to make decisions. So basically, we start off, we put resources into the system. Single resource, strike teams, task forces, mission-ready packages. You can upload a spreadsheet of your resources, or you can hand jam them one at a time in there, whatever you want to do. And again, the resource owner puts the information in. They're the closest to that resource. They should be putting the information in. We're also going to use the RTLT as a way to verify what a resource is, what type it is, what kind it is, all that. And if you've actually used Iris to take and put your resources in, that's a direct upload. Every incident in the country is visible because we want to know who's actually got mutual aid events going on. Because if the next city over or the next state over is having an event, you may want to know that and say, hey, it looks like that thing's going to get big. They may be calling us. We need to get ready. So that precursor that the chief was talking about, knowing that you may be getting called. Basically, you create an incident. You go in, you say, I've got a flooding event. Here's where it is. I put a dot on the map, or I put in an address. It geo-verifies the address, and then bam, it pops up on the map. Now, how do you know what resources you want? You go through a process, right? If we're going to buy a water bottle, do you go look at all 30,000 water bottles on the internet? No. What do you say? I want it blue, I want it 26 ounces, I want a sport top, and I want it tomorrow. And you take that 30,000 down to 5, and then you select what 5 you want, right? Everybody do that every day, right? Well, why can't we do the same thing in NMAS? Why can't you use filters to say, here's only the things I want to look at and look for. I don't want to have to look at the whole list of resources. Only the ones I want to. And part of that criteria is I need an engine. It needs to be a type 1. I need it here in 2 hours, and I need it for 5 days. Those are all filters or criteria that you can filter down. Who meets that need right now? And it pops it up on a map. Now, we're not talking about minutes and hours to do this. We're talking about literally seconds. It's like you've been seeing Kevin do displays and Petter yesterday. Literally, this is happening in seconds. How many of y'all used Uber last night or this week? I mean, everybody uses it, right? Why don't we use technology like this to say, where am I at? Where is my closest resource? How long will it take them to get to me? And then what route are they going to go? Oh, and by the way, how much is it going to cost me? So now we can start saying that engine company coming from Ventura County cost me $800 an hour or, $23,000 a day. We have all that in there. So immediately, all that information can be translated. If you want to look at cost, you flip one switch and you look at it by cost. If you want to look at by closest unit, you can flip the switch back and look at closest unit. Basically, once you've identified what resources you want, a message is sent to that resource by Twilio, and it's either by email, text, or a robocall to who they've decided they want to get that call. Most of these are going to be going to dispatch centers, okay? And it's going to go and it's going to say, you've got a mutual aid request in NMAS, log in. Once they log in, they're going to say, you've got a request for 5 engines, type 1 engines, to be there in 2 hours. If they say yes, we'll send them. It then goes to approved. It comes back to the requester. The requester then verifies, yep, that's what I wanted, and that's in the time frame. It immediately then gives them driving directions from where they are, moving forward here, where they are to where they're going to go. The second piece we're going to be doing is it's going to automatically launch Workforce. Everybody used Workforce? We saw a little demo of it yesterday. But Workforce is nothing more than a dispatch system, okay? So you launch it, and it gives you the route that you're going to take. It gives you driving directions. It starts tracking you, and you can put in notes while you're going and complete tasks along the way. All that's coming back into the mutual aid system for whoever you're working for can see it. And it goes into the big board. So using already existing technology and just coupling these things together. That's what we're doing. The other piece of that is using the situational viewer. Let's say that I don't want to pull any resources from within 50 miles of the incident because I know those folks are already getting hammered. I can exclude an area, or I can say I want to look inside only. Inside my jurisdiction, inside my agency, whatever. Those are just filters again. That's all it is. It's not rocket science. The next piece is the analytics piece. We want to start looking at analytics. How effectively am I using my resources? How many resources do I have left? Kevin was showing you the San Diego time about how many engines are still available and what is our average response time. All that can be done because the data's in one place. We're able to share that data, and we're able to visualize that data. Anybody recognize this board out of Cal OES? So Kim Zagarris and those folks up there are doing a jam-up job utilizing the data and putting it in the dashboards. These are the kind of things that when you start going into one platform, i.e. AGOL, you're able to start doing these types of things. The next thing we're doing is planning. Planning. How many of you write plans for these events? Really good. You pat everybody in the back, or you pay some contractor a lot of money to do it. The plan goes up on the shelf. 2 years later, the event happens, and what happens? The plan stays on the shelf, doesn't it? Well, we're working with FEMA planning right now to develop a tool that basically you go in and say, for this kind of event, I know I'm going to need 20 engines and 50 ambulances right off the bat. You put that in the plan. When that event happens, you push one button, it auto dumps into NMAS, and will go ahead and request those resources. While your hair is on fire, you don't have to start figuring out, what do I need? You've already taken time to plan for it. Use the plan. We're calling it operation planning. The next thing we're doing is we spend a lot of time going out and doing pre-plans around this country, okay? But when resources come in from out of county, out of state, or whatever and all, they don't get to take advantage of that. We're working with First Due right now to look at how do we share pre-plans within a jurisdiction that they've already gone out and done, and share those with those mutual aid assets that are coming to help you. Okay, isn't it a benefit for you to share what you know with them? Because everyone's protecting your city now. Because we're using AGOL, we're able to do that. We're able to share that stuff very seamlessly. They don't have to have it downloaded on their device. They're pulling it out of the cloud. The other thing we're doing is looking at logistical support. So we did an exercise with FEMA where there was multiple tornadoes in Bentonville, Arkansas. And Florida Task Force 2 was going and it's going to take them 3 days to get there. And we plotted out their route using workforce. Well, along the way, they got to stop and eat, they got to refuel, they got to sleep, all those things. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we were able to take their route and then be able to show a mile on either side of that route where every Sam's Club or Walmart was, and be able to call ahead and say, hey, Walmart store number 455, in 4 hours, you're going to have 16 trucks coming in there that need to get fuel, water, ice, and all that. Well, the I-Chiefs, again, being the leader, we've sat down with Walmart, and we have an agreement with them that we're going to build this system to be able to do that and be able to identify Sam's Clubs and Walmarts along routes in en masse deployments that we can get resources from. You won't have to worry about carrying a credit card or cash with you anymore. Everything will be billed back through the en masse system. We have a meeting in 2 weeks working with Lowe's company. A good example is the federal USAR teams carry 28,000 pounds of lumber. Why does a team from California carry 28,000 pounds of lumber to Florida? Why can't they pick it up when they get 100 miles out? Same way with pallets of water. Was it 10 pallets of water? It's a lot of weight, right? So again, start looking at this in a whole new concept. So now we start thinking about, well, maybe if we can order fire trucks and police cars and ambulances, maybe we can order other things that we need. So you think about a local emergency management director or a fire chief, we've had tornadoes come through and destroy your community, and you need 50 pallets of water. Where are you going to get 50 pallets of water? You go into en masse, search for 50 pallets of water. It pops up on a map and says there's 10 over here, there's 20 over here, there's 15 over here. So understanding the power of this search and mapping now starts getting a whole lot bigger when you start looking at the ways we can use it to find other things we're looking for. Our current progress, we presented to the Fire Scope Board back in March, well received up there. Presented to FEMA and DHS leadership 2 weeks ago. We did 5 meetings over 2 days with them. Everything from Department of Science and Technology to OEC to the U.S. Fire Administrator, everybody. Currently, Arizona, California, Florida, Tennessee, and Utah are signed up to be our beta states, launching sometime around the 1st of June. And then Texas, Virginia, and Georgia are our next states that are queuing up to come on board. We're looking for more Western states to participate. And we're also looking at phase 2 to start around August, sometime around the beginning of hurricane season. We have had several calls with U.S. Forest Service. We got another one this Friday with Shauna Lagarza, the Fire and Aviation Manager. And then we're also working with FEMA to implement this in all the FEMA region offices. And then, of course, working with FirstNet. We've been doing a lot of stuff with them about the accessibility of this through the FirstNet system. This is an all hazards, all risk, all discipline tool. It's not a fire tool. We want to eventually bring everybody into this system. Florida is already putting their fish and wildlife and law enforcement assets into the system today. So that's it. Come join the journey with me. I think we've painted a vision of where we want to go, and I think what I've heard the last 2 days, I think we're going in the right direction. So thank you very much, and any questions?